what's going on? This is Adam Ronastow, and I'm talking in my car. These have been a little bit whimsical. Just talking about random stuff with health, sometimes random stuff about my shit. This is what it's going to be for a little bit, at least for the next couple of days. My audiobook's almost done. So luckily, at the end of this weekend, I'm going to have plenty enough time because the old baby and Doodles are going to be over in the cabin. So that'll be kind of cool, and that'll give me some opportunity. They left because I have work, and they weren't just going to... my wife didn't want to leave me high and dry, but I said, no, please, go, have fun. Because sometimes it's a struggle to get enough time to work, and as much as I love my baby and my wife, I'm going to absolutely knock it out of the ballpark this weekend. So, once that's done, then we'll start doing maybe a little bit more structured business on here. Like, what are the next goals? Honestly, I haven't put too much thought into it. I have a rough idea, but I promised myself one task at a time, because I live my life going from task to task to task to task to task, and I already know where that led me. So, one focused Ronastow mind over here. So, I'm working on my audiobook, and then after that, then we'll work on the goals that are after that. So, just as an update in general, I'm just going to be talking to my ass, I suppose. I'm very interested in getting more information and trying to make the best possible content I can for this next book. While I'm going through and reading my book, my first one, Thoughts Become Things, I do think that it's well written, and I think, I'm finding some funny business, and I'm going to go and fix that. We're talking about, when we say funny business, referring to the sentences are delivered in a peculiar way, but big deal. I'll go ahead and I'll fix that. I already have some changes I need to make for the final version, although I'm sure there'll be several final versions, because, maybe I'll do a relaunch of the book. I kind of would like it to get out there, and I didn't really know how to do the appropriate marketing and so forth, so maybe that path will come. Or maybe it'll just be a book that people will one day, perhaps, hopefully reflect on because of the success of other ones. But either way, the point I want to try to say is I'm really hoping to deliver a good product with this next one on the Book of Health. And one of the people who was very inspirational for me for the first book was Dr. Joe Marcella. And not many people, I don't think anyone who I speak to really know about him unless I'm talking about his work. But if it weren't for him, I wouldn't have known anything about, learned helplessness. I probably would have come across that eventually, but, he focuses so deeply on stuff like that, and it really hit me when I was listening to Repeat Listen This the first time, which is his audiobook. I do believe he only has one book, because I went to his page recently, and he has a lot of other stuff. He has Udemy courses and stuff that I've been listening to, but just one book. And when I was listening to that, there's a lot of concepts that really resonated with me, that helped me with my book. And I don't know, I sent, it's kind of funny, I ended up sending him a copy of my book at one point. Who knows if he read it or not, but I did that because I felt so much gratitude that I was able to come across some of my thought processes. And I don't just jack his book. I'm not a big fan of doing that, but some of these concepts that really drive the points I'm trying to make, come from me listening to that initially. So I ended up sending him a copy of my book, and he didn't say anything about it. Maybe he probably gets stuff from other people all the time, I don't know. But it's got, I guess I'm saying that he seems like a really cool guy. I saw one of his recent courses, and I asked if he'd be alright to speak with me on the phone. If he does that, if you're a higher profile kind of guy and you have more success, and you don't necessarily want to talk to anybody, because even though I'm going to do my best at trying to answer the very rudimentary questions for myself prior to our conversation. Like, I mean, the last thing you want to do is try to ask people questions and then not even bother to go through like the facts section on their website or something like that. Not to say he's got a facts thing, but there's a lot of questions I wanted to ask and kind of get down to a path where I have a good, solid understanding. Because this is a very critical point where I could go a lot of different directions with this. And I know I mentioned it before, but the name of my book is going to be Cancer Doesn't Just Fall Out of the Sky. And I've been studying a lot of these concepts for years and years and years and years, and a lot of things that Dr. Joe talks about are very on par with what I'd already been like learning. So, well, for one, I don't have to like worry about believing anything, because it's just like I already know these things to be true from first-hand experience or from well, you know, when you hear something repeatedly over and over and over again, you finally get it ingrained in your brain that, hey, there's more to this than just this intellectually understood concept of it. You know, you start experiencing it. But, yeah, so that's kind of cool. And what's really cool is he's talking, and the last thing he also talked about Mega Hydrate, which is a product of Dr. Patrick Flanagan. And that's really interesting because I was really hoping to get in contact with him as well. Although he was in Sedona, or not Sedona, he was in Mexico. If he was in Sedona, he would literally be living next door to his house. But I haven't had a chance to talk with him yet, but I really would like to talk with him as well. And I'm very curious to see what Dr. Joe knows about his neurophone and all that stuff like that, you know. It's kind of on the same path of stuff. And I think it's funny because, you know, God love my wife, but if I ever end up meeting these people in real life and my wife's there, which most likely will happen because, you know, they live far away. One's in Maui and the other one's in Arizona, Michigan. She's going to just roll her damn eyes because half the stuff I talk about, she's just like, what the fuck are you listening to? But, you know, I've been like this for years and years and years, and I try to explain it the best way I can so she understands it's not just some batshit crazy bullshit, that our understanding about what there is out there is very indicative to the experiences we've had and our willingness to go and learn about things that we aren't aware of. So, it'll be very interesting to see her reaction, though, as I would get into more in-depth conversations that nature, and what she would be thinking. You know what? There's been a lot of times though where, like, where are we? This was Peru or this was Australia? This was Peru. Yeah, I remember when we were in Peru. What was it? We met this one guy, Kevin Riley. He's a hell of a good guy. I enjoyed talking with him. But, you know, we got into a really deep conversation with him, and old Doodles was just sitting there, just kind of like listening or whatever. And, you know, I'll apologize and say, hey, you know, I got to apologize to my wife because I don't want to drag her into conversations that aren't really that interesting for her. But she swears that she's interested by it, so she might think it's batshit crazy, but she'll still listen and get a feeling for it. Maybe it's for the better. That she gets more of those experiences, because then she realizes just like it's not just coming from one guy, you know. Your friends aren't talking about this kind of stuff. It's not something that's been inside of her experience before, so it's just like it helps when it's not coming from just one guy. Oh, I should probably get going here, but just random update. I'm very excited. Diane Powell was supposed to be the first person who I interviewed. Although I don't really consider this an interview, which when I speak to Dr. Joe, probably just a conversation. I guess that's what it would have been with Diane too. But you know, I never ended up getting in contact with her. She was the person who did stuff with psychic kids and stuff. That I was doing research for my last book. I don't know. I'm ranting now, so I'm just going to say, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later.